Hi, I'm Peter J. Ray. Welcome to Adventures in History. Today's topic is John S. Ray's Oberlin College Diary, 1946, Part 21. This is the last presentation for my father's college diary. He actually had graduated from Oberlin College, and now this was the summer after he graduated, and in which he worked on a ship transporting horses across the Atlantic Ocean to Greece and Turkey, with his college friends, among other sailors. August 2, 1946. The sailing has been postponed still another day. The stevedore started loading the horses this afternoon, so it looks like we'll actually sail tomorrow. Bob Slaughter and Wes have the 4 to 12 watch, and Phil and I have the 12 to 8 shift. We'll go on tonight at midnight. August 3. We were both very sleepy by the time our watch was over this morning. The horses aren't used to us yet, and vice versa. Very few of them are really mean. They're just frightened in this new environment. Phil and I had one hell of a time trying to get the horses turned around and trying to get all of the halters on. I imagine this first night will be the worst. Believe it or not, we sailed this morning at 11. I was in my sack at the time. 2 horses died today, and 2 had stillborn foals. Our mess man cut himself badly on the wrist and is going to be put over the side with the pilot. August 4th. Our early watch went much better this morning. Phil and I feel pretty good about getting a mare that had fallen and gotten her front feet caught back on her pins again. Horses seem to be like humans in several respects. They'll react to kind treatment very favorably. The purser sold 8 cartons of cigarettes to each man this afternoon. There are all sorts of rumors about how fast we are going and when we will get back. I don't think we'll be back before the last week in September. Wes came after us late this evening for help in getting the same damn mare on her feet again. It was quite an effort. August 5th, 1946. Sam put me on the day shift today. I like it much better than the night shift. There's some sun and exercise concerned with it. My partner is a very likable fellow who knows something about horses. We salt and grain them before breakfast and water and hay them after breakfast and dinner. The weather is still perfect. There's something about the ocean water that's different. The swells are much broader and the water much bluer than in Lake Erie. We saw some sharks and flying fish today. Every night now, before going to bed, we set our watches up half an hour. August 6th. Another beautiful day. We get up every morning at 6:45 and are usually done in the evening by 7 o'clock. We sit on the stern each evening and watch the sun go down. Quite a sight. Sam seems to have raised everyone's bad will. I don't think any of us would mind if he went over the side some night. The vet, however, is a young, intelligent fellow with some sense. Our crew is made up mostly of college fellows who are pretty decent fellows, with the exception of one stinker named Gates. The 6 of us in our room are having a beard-raising contest. We're all starting to look a little shaggy. August 7th. The work today was much easier after yesterday's long pull. The sea was a little rougher today and the wind very strong. Maybe we'll have a blow tonight. Sam is really going berserk. He thinks he's going to force us to move into different quarters. We'll set our wits against his on the deal. August 8. It rolled around quite a bit last night. We've got to sleep on either your stomach or your back in such weather. Some small dark brown birds with partly white tails are still following us. The gulls left us several days ago. Sam's notion about moving us out did not go through. The ship's crew has several very picturesque fellows in it. One fellow is a small, powerful, soft-spoken Spaniard. Another has a shaved head and a heavy black mustache with eyebrows to match. Ertzman led a cowboy meeting this evening. Very nice. August 9. It's a rather interesting sight to watch the crew put a dead horse over the side. I believe that 9 have died so far. I spent 2 hours this afternoon with a horse before it finally suffocated from pneumonia. It was like losing a friend. We saw a school of porpoises leaping out of the water this evening. Our work is all routinized now, and we spent about half the day reading and sleeping in the sun. The trip has been perfect so far. August 10. I believe we passed through the center of the Atlantic Ocean today. We're taking the Great Circle route across and passed about 60 miles from the Grand Banks of Newfoundland 2 days ago. We'll hit the Azore Islands longitude in a day or so. Rumor has it that we're going to bring back a load of cork from Spain. However, I don't believe we'll know anything for sure until we get to Greece. I finished the book The Way of All Flesh this afternoon, an excellent book. A horse bit me this evening on the upper arm but drew no blood. Bob Slaughter has been bitten twice by the same horse and has had blood drawn both times. I think we saw a whale blowing off the port side this evening. August 11th. Today moved along very rapidly. We had a light rain this morning and the weather has been fairly cool all day. Tomorrow will mark the midpoint in our jaunt so far as distance is concerned. It's quite a sensation to sit up on the prow of the ship and look at the water. The swells were the biggest we've had so far, about 12 feet high. August 12. The weather has been very wet and cool today. I got thoroughly soaked this morning, but managed to take off time to dry out without Sam's knowing about it. Several of my horses got into a biting spree this afternoon, and one is now in a hospital stall. A beautiful, full, yellow moon came out of the ocean this evening. I predict sunny weather tomorrow. August 13th. We should be at the Rock of Gibraltar in just 2 more days. The weather was sunny but cool today. We lost our first horse on the top side of number 2 hold today. 2 ships have been on our tails all day. Traffic is getting heavy. I think I should mention the 32 rolls I had at supper last night. August 14th. Sunny but very windy today. The spray was flying over the ship all day. I got drenched more than once. It should warm up tomorrow. August 15. Very unpleasant last night. Our outtake ventilator was off and the ship was rolling all over the place. More rolling and a warmer breeze today. August 16. The monotony was really broken in a big way today. We sighted land this morning about 10. Cape St. Vincent is much more calm than the ocean proper. On the port side, we could see Europe, and on the starboard, Africa. We could see Tangier, Tarifa, and Ceuta very clearly. They were all very fascinating from the water, all done in white, and all at the foot of high, barren mountains. I understand Tangier is really a wicked town. Then we passed on to Gibraltar, which looks just like the Prudential ad. We were very lucky in anchoring up at Gibraltar for about an hour and getting minefield charts. About 15 bumboats came alongside as soon as we had anchored and spread out their wares. We bartered with them with cigarettes. I wouldn't have missed the spectacle for anything. We're starting to see quite a few porpoises now in the Mediterranean Sea. The weather was perfect today. This stuff is really the nuts. I wish the folks could see all this. August 17th. We have been within sight of the African coast nearly all day. Very pleasant to have land close again. We really worked bringing up the hay today. Worked up quite a heat in the process. This Hansen fellow is a very interesting guy. The flies are getting bad and the manure is piling higher all the time. August 18th. This has really been a scorcher. We have been in rather close view of the Algerian coast all day. This terrain is really rugged and very picturesque in spots. We passed by Oran yesterday, but were too far out to see anything. Last night by Algiers about midnight. The sun is very hot now and the breeze is rather infrequent. Good tanning weather. Hansen gave an excellent talk on China this evening. It's quite hot in our quarters. August 19th. We did not sleep well at all on deck last night. About 6:30 this morning we anchored about 2 miles off Bizerte for engine repairs. The city looks very interesting through Phil's binoculars. I would certainly like to rummage around through some of these coast towns we are passing. We rigged some fishing tackle off the stern this afternoon. Maybe we'll catch a shark. Who knows? We weighed anchor about 4:30 and are on the way again. August 20. We came into sight of the Sicilian coast this noon. This area was bloody hell about 3 years ago. Now the only danger is an occasional floating mine. The chief engineer was spinning some choice yarns for us this evening. August 21. This has been another scorcher. Spent the afternoon taking a sun bath. I shaved off my beard this afternoon too. Couldn't quite see bothering with it any longer. Our quarters are unbearable now, so we're sleeping on deck. We'll be in Piraeus, Greece tomorrow. August 22. There were no lights on the islands last night, and we very nearly ran aground looking for a narrow pass. We were in 48 feet of water at one time, a close shave. It was quite a sight to watch the sun come up over the Greek islands. This country is extremely barren and mountainous. We sighted the Parthenon 12 miles out of Piraeus. The town was bombed in 1945 by the Americans, and there is still evidence of it. We went into Piraeus this evening and had a great time. The Greeks seem to be very poor, but they seem to have enough to eat and enough clothes. Peddlers are everywhere in the streets and will buy and sell anything, especially cigarettes. One carton brings only $3, or 20,000 drachmas. The Greeks are great on gathering together outside around small tables and drinking cognac and lemonade. There are many American items on sale here and many Greek and British soldiers on the street. The whores are not too subtle in their approaches. Piraeus is very modern except that there are no skyscrapers. We went to a kind of nightclub and listened to Greek music and drank cognac. The cognac wasn't too bad. Phil needed a little assistance in getting to his sack. August 23. Today offered the epitome in our trip experiences. We toured Athens with a guide and went over the Acropolis. That was really something. All of the buildings were even more impressive and beautiful than I thought they would be. What heat, though. We took pictures all over the place. There are many beautiful old buildings in Athens. See the guide list. People crowd the town and walk in the streets since there aren't too many cars. We took the subway from Piraeus into Athens this evening and just spent the time wandering through the picturesque old streets. We have been using cigarettes and sheets for money. Quite a day. The latest rumor is that the Greeks are not going to take the manure off the ship. Ouch. August 24th. We are not allowed to take more than 2 or 3 packs of cigarettes by the customs men legally, so we put them in our socks. The other day my cigarettes started falling out just about 10 feet after I had passed through the gate. Wes and I had one last look at Piraeus this morning. Many open-air markets, peddlers, money changers, soldiers, and Greeks in general. This afternoon we began shoveling manure out between decks, and this evening we sailed for Split, Yugoslavia, instead of Trieste. There's too much trouble in Trieste. The Parthenon was lighted this evening as we left port and made a pleasant last impression of Athens. August 25th. We could have spent several more days in Athens to very good advantage, but here we are on the high seas again. We shoveled manure all day and got all of it between decks ready to be put over the side. Not too pleasant a way to spend Sunday. Sam goofed off as usual. August 26th. Every day I am becoming more and more convinced of the stupidity of the average merchant seaman, if the crew on this ship can be taken as an average group. Their language is completely muddled with profanity, and they seem to think only of women and alcohol. We sailed by Corfu this morning, and have been in the Adriatic Sea all day between Albania and Italy. Both coasts are visible. We shoveled manure this morning, this afternoon, and this evening. The captain had rocks in his head the other day in Piraeus, or this trouble would not have arisen. We played more hearts this evening. August 27th. This morning we finished the very unpleasant job of shoveling the between-decks manure. We sighted Split about noon. It seems to be a very modern town with red-roofed houses and is set at the foot of beautifully rugged mountains. We are anchored just offshore and will put in early in the morning. August 28th. We tied up about noon today and got off the ship almost immediately. Split is in very sad shape. The city has been bombed rather severely and is filled with all kinds of Yugoslav soldiers and German prisoners. The soldiers very seldom have full uniforms, and the prisoners wear hardly any clothes at all. Apparently everything that has been done for the people has been done by UNRRA. The whole country is communist and ruled with an iron fist, an iron hand by Marshal Tito. Most of the people are against him but cannot help themselves. From what we've been told, the town is full of spies, political intrigue, etc. Bob Slaughter was right about Diocletian's palace being here. It is in the center of town, and 3,000 people now live in it. A fascinating place. The people seem to look on the Americans as saviors, but are not permitted to declare themselves openly for political reasons. We had some meat and wine at a small place this evening, beer at a little hole in the wall in the palace, and more beer at the local dance hall. August 29th. This morning we all walked out to the home of the famous Croatian sculptor Ivan Mestrovic. It's a beautiful place and filled with his sculptures. The UNRRA man arranged this for us, and a Dr. Sursin showed us the works. A very interesting old fellow and well known in the country. He was the editor of New Europe. This afternoon we had a swim, very fine and in beautiful surroundings. This evening we strolled through another end of town and had several good experiences. Soccer is the game here, and even the little kids are good at it. An old lady asked us if we were Americans this evening, and then shook our hands and went on. We saw an English movie with a short which showed the people cheering on Tito. Rotten propaganda. August 30th. After breakfast this morning, we all hopped into a UNRRA truck and buzzed off through the countryside with Dr. Searson. We went through the ruins of an old fort at Klis, where in several old cathedrals in Trogir, and saw the ruins of a Roman theater on the way back. All quite interesting. This afternoon we swam at the British Consulate's beach. No sand on the beach. The more I see of this land, the gladder I am that I'm an American. More and more I can see that America really is the land of plenty. They favor plump, well-muscled women over here who can put out the work. Manual labor is cheap and plentiful. Our old tub has come out of the water about 10 feet since we docked. August 31st. Another day of sightseeing. We went through the museum, which had all of the articles excavated at Salona in it. Very good. Then a short tour through the palace. Cigarettes are rather hard to sell in town now. The market has been flooded with ship's tobacco. This evening my brother Dick ran across a fellow that's planning to stow away on the ship with a friend. They're both Yugoslavs, have been in Nazi concentration camps, and have parents killed by the Nazis. They speak little English and have no American money. However, we're thinking of helping them. September 1st. Slept until lunchtime today and spent the afternoon drinking wine with the lads in a very nice cafe. Took a few final pictures. The women here are great on carrying things on their heads. It's strange to us. I had a very fine chat with one of the Bulgarian swimmers that is here for the races. He says that his country is much worse off than Yugoslavia. Must be very bad. We talked the stowaway deal over with the doctor and decided not to do it because of fines involved. My heart's game was way off this evening. September 2nd. Because the stevedores have been doing such a bang-up job of unloading, we were ready to sail this afternoon about 3:30. Bob Slaughter Hanson and the chief engineer didn't get back until after the gangplank was lifted. Bit of a tight pinch. We met our would-be stowaway friend downtown this afternoon and explained the deal to him. He was very downcast. I suggested that he and his friend try to row out about 2:30. They got here just as we were pushing off. I'll never forget those two pathetic men in the small rowboat getting here just a little bit too late. They had been waiting for us last night with a package of food and all of their money and clothes. I feel like a genuine heel. September 3rd. We've been plugging along all day at 12 knots. My original guess at September 24th as our arrival date in America may not be too far off. We've been very close to the Italian shore all day. Water fights got into full swing as we began our hosing down up forward. Those fire hoses have quite a pressure. September 4th. First thing this morning we passed through the Straits of Messina between Italy and Sicily. They are quite narrow and we were able to see both shores at close range. The Italian shore looked very much like the beautiful sunny Italy one reads about. The hills are all stepped and are quite picturesque. On the Sicilian side, the city of Messina and Mount Etna could be seen. The city still shows marks of bombing. Except for a few odds and ends, our work is finished now. This hosing business is very tiring. We're all sacking it early. Wes and I cleaned up the forward gun tub this afternoon. We hope the weather will let us use it. September 5th. The weather was very close last night and we all slept very fitfully. I had a very unpleasant dream about Nancy Wilson. All of our work is finished now and we are passengers for the rest of the trip. The weather was beautiful all afternoon, so we inaugurated the forward gun tub as our beach and sack club. I have a cot on it and just lie around all day, bulling, reading, dozing, and smoking in the sun. A rather idyllic existence. The migrating season is in full swing here, and all kinds of birds were around the ship all day. We set our watches back a half hour every day now. September 6th. Another very pleasant day on the gun tub. I finished reading the book Babbitt by Sinclair Lewis and found it very good. It's cooler this evening. This fine weather is about finished, I'm afraid. The swabs say the Atlantic is cool and rough this time of year. September 7th. The beach club was in full swing all day as we sailed along the Spanish coast. Bob Slaughter and I were taken badly at bridge by Wes and Suzuki. This boy Suzuki is the best player I've seen so far. The sea was like a big mirror this evening and we could see the porpoises very clearly. Quite a thrill to watch them race along in front of us. We passed Gibraltar about an hour ago and our orders have not been changed. On to Portland, Maine. September 8th. I had a very unusual dream about a dusty bracelet made of small red parallelograms of wood last night. The Portuguese coast was in sight all morning until we rounded the Cape. The weather is cooler but still sunny, and the ground swells are giving the ship quite a pitch. No more land now for about 12 days. September 9th. The sun was so hot today that we were all knocked out this evening. The swells leveled off late this afternoon and the sea is quite calm now. The chief engineer kept us laughing this evening with more of his vast yarn collection. Bob Slaughter has been doing more than his part too. We had a good discussion on the impending Russian war, continents, and contraception this evening. I had another unpleasant dream about Nancy Wilson last night. September 10th. This trip back is unique in my experience. We have no responsibilities except head detail. Our day has 5 activities in it. Reading, sunbathing, playing bridge, eating, and sleeping. Bulling would be a 6th. The captain thinks the engine will hold out until we get home. September 11th. I spent the day reading an excellent book by Kirby Page on the relation of Christianity to atomic war. The sea was wild and beautiful after supper. We're now pitching and rolling instead of just pitching. I had another unusual dream about Nancy Wilson last night. Her hair was in her face. They get better all the time. September 12th. We are nearing the middle of the ocean now and are only about 120 miles from the Azores Islands. We're chugging along at about 280 miles per day. We're all doing quite a bit of reading, but Bob Slaughter seems to be trying to read himself blind. We had a small drinking bout here in the room this evening. I wonder what's going on in the outside world. September 13th. The news was posted this morning and it looks as if we're heading into war for sure with Russia. I read an unusual book by Thornton Wilder this afternoon. Could not quite see the purpose in it. We had an excellent bridge session until after midnight, and I dreamed about Nancy again. September 14th. Rather exciting news today. It seems that a hurricane is impending, and the NMU has just gone on strike. The ship is predicted to break into two parts at our room partition with the dispensary. I started an excellent novel this evening. September 15th. The hurricane has spent itself, so I guess we missed the fireworks. We passed through quite a bit of seaweed today and saw literally hundreds of turtles. The old tub is chugging along at 12.98 knots. This evening we finished off the rest of our spirits and had an excellent bull session with Lloyd Simpson, the colored messman. September 16th. The ship acted as if she were drunk last night. She shivered from stem to stern all night. Once it felt as if the old tub was going to separate before our eyes. We're out of the Gulf Stream now, and the weather is very cool. Our lights went out this evening, so we had a big bridge session. September 17th. This should be our last day on sea. I've decided to carry on an extensive reading campaign when we get home. We had a big bridge session this evening. The swabs junked Sam's room. I'm not sorry. September 18th. We pulled into Portland, Maine this morning about 4 o'clock. Everyone bounced out of the sack early and got everything squared away. Then, as usual, we were held up until late this afternoon by customs. We finally left the ship in a launch about 4 this afternoon. The jaunt covered about 10,000 miles and was quite definitely a success. I called home this evening, and they're expecting us Friday now. The Illinois Rays may be there then. I hope so. Our checks did not come through, but Phil lent us $10, so we're okay. September 19th. Our luck ran high today, and we caught one ride clear through to Cazenovia. The partridges took care of us very nicely this evening. The trees are all turning now in southern New Hampshire and Vermont, and are really a sight to behold after the barren mountains of Greece and Dalmatia. September 20th. Lady Luck smiled down on us again, and we caught one lift through from Kaz to Cleveland and fast. We made the 770 miles from Portland in just 21 hours. Pretty fair time. The summer is gone now, and 13,000 miles are behind us. The Australia deal doesn't look too sharp from here. It looks like I'll have to hope on the agate and get work here in Ohio. The Illinois Rays are here now. Big reunion. Howard Neal died in a plane crash in Michigan. I'm very sorry for his mother. Books read on the trip. 1. Citizen Tom Paine by Fast. 2. The Way of All Flesh by Butler. 3. Brief Candles by A. Huxley. 4. Generation of Vipers by Wiley. 5. Babbitt by Sinclair Lewis. 6. The Yugoslav Littoral, Part. 7. Monuments of Athens, Part. 8. The Perennial Philosophy by Aldous Huxley, Part. 9. Now is the Time to Prevent a Third World War by Kirby Page. 10. Decameron by Boccaccio, Part. 11. Men Against the Sea by Nordhoff and Hall. 12. Pastoral by Shute. 13. Heaven is My Destination by Wilder. 14. The Brothers Karamazov by Dostoevsky. The end. Well, that concludes John S. Ray's Oberlin College Diary. After this, he got a job in Cleveland as a chemist, Cleveland, Ohio, at the DeBeckman Company, and then went to law school and got his law degree in 1951. He married Ruth Smallshaw, a Canadian from Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada. They got married in 1950. They had a son, Mark, in 1952, daughter Pamela in 1954, another daughter, Patricia, in 1957, and their fourth and last child, Peter, yours truly, in 1960. We have a lot more presentations in the family history genre coming up, based on letters of family members, diaries, and interviews, and so forth. And John S. Ray, my dear father, plays a role, a very important role in many of those presentations. Good luck to you with your own efforts in family history. If this interests you in finding, preserving, and sharing old letters, diaries, and photographs, and interviewing elderly relatives while they're alive. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. God bless you. Take care, and I'll see you next time.